Okay, continuing with the story on the face of it, class 12. Now we have started with this play where we understand that the two people, Mr. Lamb, who is an elderly person, and Jerry, who is a young boy, Jerry, who has somehow climbed the wall and entered into Mr. Lamb's garden. Mr. Lamb, who found Jerry walking into his garden, he is not at all shocked. He's not at all annoyed with Jerry. Rather, he take all these things very easily. Jerry, though, he is scared a bit because he finds that the owner of the garden was standing in front of him. The both exchange few words where we come to know that Jerry is a very pessimistic kind of a boy. His half face is burnt, because of which he somewhere feels low, and he tells Mr. Lamb that nobody wants to look at him. People are generally scared of him. On this, Mr. Lamb is still very normal. He behaves in a very normal manner, and it doesn't give any shocking or startled kind of a appearance look to Jerry. Now, Jerry on this tells him that people are afraid of me. Mr. Lamb said, why? Why anybody should be afraid of you? So Jerry tells him that, see, look at me. There's a difference between you and me. Mr. Lamb says, we both are same. So Jerry says, no, we are not same. Look at me. I'm here and my face. You think that's bad? It's a terrible thing. That's the ugliest thing I ever saw. You think, poor boy, but I'm not poor. Underneath, you are afraid. Anybody would be, because Jerry here says that when even I myself, I look in the mirror and see it, I'm afraid of myself. Mr. Lamb tells him that I am like you because I have a tin leg. One of his leg is broken, so he says I have a tin leg. On this also, Jerry further says that yours is hidden, but my burnt face is visible to everyone. So people give that yuck kind of a feeling. They are scared of me. They try to get away from me when they have a look at me, right? So here we are continuing. We have Mr. Lamb and Jerry here. We're going to read out. You have to continue from page number 58. Mr. Lamb, please start.
No.
Please continue.
Mama, it's the last part.
Yeah, please read it out. No, it's there is an ahead also. No, not the whole of you, not of you.
Okay, ma'am. No, not the whole of you, not of you. Yes. Later on, when it's a bit cooler, I'll get the ladder and the stick and pull down those crab apples. They are ripe for it. I make jelly. It's good time of year. September. Look at them. Orange and golden. That's magic fruit, I often say. But it's best picked and made into jelly. You could give me a hand.
Okay, Jerry's part I will read. What have you changed the subject for? People always do that. Why don't you ask me? Why do you do what they do and pretend it isn't true and it isn't there? In case I see you looking and mind and get upset, I tell you don't ask me because you are afraid to.
You want me to ask you? Say so then.
I don't like being with Apple, any people. Sorry, I don't like being with people, any people.
I should say, to look at it, I should say you got burned in a fire.
Not in a fire. I got acid all down and that side of my face and it burned it all away. It ate my face up, it ate me up, and now it's like this and it won't ever be any different. Now, this explanation I have already given you, children. Because of some acid spilled on his face, Jerry has got that burnt face. He says that the acid has eaten up the entire skin and it can never be mended now. It can never come to its original form. So he's really disheartened and he has that feeling which he carries along with him every time, that people do not love him. Nobody wants to even look at him because of that horrible, scary look which he carries of that burnt face. Mr. Lamb?
No.
Aren't you interested?
You are a boy who came into the garden. Plenty do. I'm interested in nobody, anything. I'm interested in anybody, anything. There's nothing God made that doesn't interest me. Look over there, beside the far wall. What can you see?
Rubbish.
Rubbish? Look, boy, look. What do you see?
Just grass and stuff, weeds.
Some call them weeds if you like. Then a weed garden. There's a fruit and there are flowers and trees and herbs, all sorts. But over there, weeds. I grow weeds there. Why is one green growing plant called a weed and another a flower? Where's the difference? It's all life growing, same as you and me.
We are not the same.
I am old, you are young, you have got a burnt face, I have got a thin leg. Not important. You are standing there and I'm sitting here. Where's the difference?
Why? Have you got a tin leg?
Real one got blown off years back. Lamby lamb, some kids say. Haven't you heard them? You will. Lamby lamb. It fits. Doesn't trouble me.
But you can put on trousers and cover it up, and no one sees. They don't have to notice and stare.
Some do, some don't. They get tired of it in the end. There's plenty of other things to stare at.
Like my face?
Like crab apples or the weeds or spider climbing up the silken ladder or my tall sunflowers.
Things.
It's all relative. Beauty and the beast.
What's that supposed to mean?
You tell me.
You needn't think they haven't all told me that fairy story before. It's not what you look like, it's what you are inside. Handsome is as handsome does. Beauty loved the monstrous beast for himself, and when she kissed him, he changed into a handsome prince. Only he wouldn't have stayed a monstrous beast. I won't change. Now, here I'm going to take a little pause. Let me give you the explanation here. See, that is the perspective, the change in the perspective of the two people, right? One is Mr. Lamb, who is an elderly person, and another is Derry, who is a young boy. Now, both are suffering from some kind of, you can say, disability, right? Mr. Lamb is having a tin leg while Jerry is having a burnt face. But when Mr. Lamb asked Jerry, what do you see? Jerry says, I see weeds there. And Mr. Lamb said, it can be a weed garden. It has fruits. It somewhere has flowers also. So it is a it's a weed garden. So that is the change in the perspective, right? He says, have you heard about the story of the Beauty and the Beast, where the outer beauty doesn't matter as much for the girl, and she was for the prince, and the prince actually the prince was carried away by the qualities of the girl, and he kissed her, and then the entire transformation was there, right? So he says, please, I have heard about all these fairy tales about the prince and about the that a person should be beautiful from inside, the outside beauty doesn't matter, and all these stuff. But then ultimately it affects. So we find the change in the perspective, the change in the thoughts of the two people, though both of them are suffering from one or the other kind of disability, right? Let's continue further. Now I want somebody else to read out Dairy's part. Anushka Bansal. Anushka Bansal, please read out Jerry's part now.
Ma'am, I can't read.
Okay. Abhishek. Abhishek,
Yes, ma'am.
read out Jerry's part. Lamb Shubhangi is going to read, and Jerry's part you are going to read.
Okay.
Mr. Lamb, please continue.
Yes, ma'am. Just give a second.
In that
In
way.
what? In yes, ma'am. In that way, no, you won't.
And no one will kiss me ever. Only my mother, and she kisses me on the other side of my face. And I don't like my mother to kiss me. She does it because she has to. Why should I like that? I don't care if nobody ever kisses me.
But do you care if you never kiss them?
What?
Girls, pretty girls, long hair, large eyes, people you love.
Who would let me? Not one.
Who can tell?
I won't ever look different. When I am as old as you, I will look I will look the same. I still only have half a face.
So you will, but the world won't. The world's got a whole face, and the world's there to be looked at.
Do you think this is the world? This old garden?
When I am here, not only one, but the world as much as anywhere.
Does your leg hurt you?
10 doesn't hurt, boy.
When it came off, did it?
Certainly.
And now? I mean, where the tin stops? At the top?
Now and then, in wet weather, it doesn't signify.
Oh, that's something else they all say. Look at all those people who are in pain and brave, never cry and never complain, and don't feel sorry for themselves.
I haven't said it.
And think of all those people worse off than you. Think you might have been blinded or born deaf or have to live in a wheelchair or be graft in your head and dribble.
Okay, just a second, please. Now, here we
Okay.
find Derry was very sarcastic here. He was talking very sarcastically because these are the certain things which are generally told to the disabled people. I told in the beginning of the chapter itself, there are two approaches which generally people follow towards people who are disabled or specially able, which we now call. One is either they are very sympathetic towards them, right, or the other way around is they start teaching them lessons of being strong, being brave. Look at the people who are below you, look at the people who cannot see at all, look at the people who are born with such major disabilities that they have to be dependent on others throughout their lives, and blah blah blah. Right, so these kind of lessons are generally given to the people who are specially abled, right? Here Derry is talking in those sarcastic terms where he's clearly mentioning that now you will be telling all this. So Mr. Lamb says, no, I'm not telling you all this. But when he was talking about that, nobody kisses me on my face. Even my mother doesn't like to kiss me. Even when she has to kiss me, she kisses me on the other side of the face. So on this, Mr. Lamb, as I told you, he has a different perspective altogether. He says, have you ever kissed somebody? When you are talking about nobody kissing me, have you kissed? It's same. What you give, the same you return, the same you receive. It's about love when it is. So you have to give love to receive love. So Mr. Lamb is talking in that term. But Derry here is just concerned about the physical appearance, about the outer look. He's not much concerned about being happy, talking about the virtues, getting connected to somebody from heart and soul. He is devoid of these things. So here in the last stanza, what we have read now, we find that Terry is talking in that sarcastic term that now, Mr. Lamb, you will be telling me all these stuff. Okay, let's continue, Mr. Lamb.
And that's all true, and you know it.
I won't make my face change. Do you know, one day a woman went by me in a street. I was at a bus stop and she was with another woman. And she looked at me and she said, whispered, only I heard her. She said, look at that. That's a terrible thing. That's face only a mother could love.
So you believe everything you hear then?
It was cruel.
Maybe not meant as such, just something said between them.
Only I heard it. I heard.
And this and is that the only thing you ever heard anyone say in your life?
Oh no. I have heard a lot of things.
So now you keep your ears shut.
You are peculiar. You say peculiar things. You ask questions I don't understand.
I like to talk, have company. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to stop here at all. The gate's open.
Yes, but
I have a hive of bees behind those trees over there. Some hear bees and they say bees buzz. But when you listen to the bees for a long while, they hum. And hum means sing. I hear them singing, my bees.
but I like it here. I came in because I liked it. When I looked over the hall,
If you'd seen me, you have not come in.
no,
No?
it would have been trespassing.
Ah, that's not why.
I don't like being near people when they stare. When I see them being afraid of me.
You could lock yourself in a room and never leave it. There was a man who did that. He was
Okay,
he
just a
was
second. I'll
afraid.
take a just a second. I'll take a pause
Okay,
here. We
ma'am.
have finished this page. Now again here we see that difference in the opinion, difference in the approach of Mr. Lamb and Derry, which is clearly visible here. Mr. Lamb says, "I have a hive of bees here," and we generally just believe that bees make that buzzing sound at times, which is actually very irritating. But Mr. Lamb says they call it buzzing, I call it humming, and humming means simply to sing. It's singing song. So I love to hear them. So it's your way how you take up your life. When I say happiness is not a situation, it's not a condition, it's an attitude. So that means you have to learn how to be happy in that given situation. That what is uh, here told again and again by Mr. Lamb, that is his approach. So then he further talks about, as Derry says that once I was standing somewhere and the women looked at me and she said that only a mother can love such a face. Nobody can love a burnt face, obviously, right? So on this, Mr. Lamb says, so you hear everybody and you believe in everybody. I mean, you have certain or your own approach towards life, how you look up at things, how what you think about yourself. That is what Derry is conveying here again and again. Sorry, that is what Mr. Lamb is conveying here again and again. But Derry is again coming back to the point that no, nobody loves me, nobody likes me. People are scared of me, people run away of me, and that's the way they look at me. So I know I that is the reason that I don't want to even talk to people. So he says that even if you have not been there, then if you have been there, your garden is good, then I would have simply trespassed this area. I would have surely not come to this place, right? But Mr. Lamb on the other hand says, but I love to talk to people, I love to have company, I love to watch the beauty of nature, which is the true beauty he talks about. Let's continue further Mr. Lamb's part.
You could lock yourself up in a room and never leave it. There was a man who did that. He was afraid, you see, of everything. Everything in the world. A bus might run him over, or a mine might breathe deadly germs onto him, or a donkey might kick him to death, or a lightning might strike him down, or he might love a girl and the girl would leave him. He might slip on a banana skin and fall, and people who saw him would laugh their heads off. So he went into his room and locked the door, got into his bed and stayed there.
Forever?
For a while,
Then what?
a picture fell off the wall on his head and killed him.
You see,
You see,
but you still say peculiar things.
peculiar to some.
What do you do all day?
Sit in the sun, read books. You thought it was an empty house, but inside it's full. Books and other things full.
But there are not any curtains at the windows.
I'm not fond of curtains, shutting things out, shutting things in. I like the light and the darkness, and the windows open to hear the wind.
Yes, I like that. When it's raining, I like to hear it on the roof.
So you are not lost, are you? Not altogether. You do hear things, you listen.
They talk about me downstairs. When I'm not there, what will he ever do? What's going to happen to him when we have gone? However, will he get on in this world? Looking like what? With that on his face? That's what they say.
Okay. Now here we find the two coming closer, discussing about things like Mr. Lamb shared one incident, one story where he says that once there was a man who he was scared of everything. He felt that anything could happen with me anytime, whether it could be a bus running over him, a donkey kicking him to death, a lightning might strike him, or a girl, or he might love a girl and the girl would leave him, and then he might slip on a banana skin and fall, and people who would saw him would laugh their heads off. So he was scared of everything. You know, there are people who suffer from such insecurities. Actually, these are people, and these are the kind of the people who never gain that confidence to face the challenges of life. Because the troubles, the problems, the challenges, they are all a part of our life, and unless and until we face them with full of confidence, we will never be able to overcome that. And perhaps that is the essential to survive in today's tough competitive life, right? Now, here on Reddy on this, he asked then what happened if he locked himself in a room, having so many insecurities in his mind. On this, Mr. Lamb tells, picture fell upon his head and he died. Means what is going to happen? We do not know. Life is actually unpredictable. You never know what's the next moment stores for you. So there is no point even leading that closed and scared life every time where you feel this might happen and this might go wrong. Rather, live your life openly. Right? We get that feeling when Mr. Lamb also tells that I do not more like curtains at all. I want everything to be open. I love lightness. I love darkness. I love that wind to come in. Now, here at one point only, we find both having the common consent on something. When Derry says, yes, even I do like to hear that raindrops falling on the roof. But then I also hear perhaps the elders or the parents talking about him, being concerned about him, that what will happen to him when tomorrow we are not there. That is a basic concern of all the parents uh, whose children are disabled, right? Parents generally think about in that manner what would go wrong, how things would turn up for him, how is he going to face the uh, difficult world tomorrow when we are not there. So Derry says, I generally hear talking my elders or my parents in that term, looking like that with that honest ways, how is he going to face the world? Let's continue further. I think we should stop here because time is up. We can
Yes,
stop
ma'am.
here when okay. It's already